Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 19, written by user LiquidGold83, describes a night's events where they seemingly died, but then consciously woke back up 20 minutes before their death. So this happened last week. It just took me some time to come to terms with it, to process the mind-bending reality of existence. I got a phone call from my next-door neighbor late in the evening asking if I can help him move a mattress into his room upstairs. His mom is ill and has a big heavy sleep number bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I get over there and his friend, who's also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it upstairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbor asks if I can help them move an armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps long. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up, when my neighbor and his friends lose a handle on the armoire and it comes crashing down on me, and I fall backwards towards the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room, to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbor asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mom. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, as this has been the first time I met him. I say I can help with the bed, but I can't help with the armoire. My neighbor was like, "How do you know about the armoire?" I then proceeded to tell them I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbor didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall. I had never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up at my dining room table 20 minutes before my death. Case notes, file number 19. Okay, so this is one of the most concise and clear examples I've ever come across regarding quantum immortality. It's curious though how you jump back in time 20 minutes prior to the incident. So usually in quantum immortality situations, the jump of consciousness into other universes, the you, is instantaneous and happens at the same point in time as the original, just without the death part. I suppose it's possible there were no other available yous in that exact moment, if that makes sense, until you took control of that version of you 20 minutes ago, and altered the future in the process because of your knowledge of events to come. So that universe was basically the same, minus some small changes, but you changed the outcome that would have come to pass if you wouldn't have died in your original timeline and universe. If this is possible, then it puts into question even the nature of time and its connection to consciousness. Perhaps quantum immortality could even extend beyond natural aging-related deaths, where dying in that instance simply reconnects you to an earlier version of yourself, to continue living forever in different versions or timelines in those parallel universes. The only thing about this though is, there aren't a lot of people walking around who just think they came from other universes where they had died like an hour before of natural aging. I do know though, if this is a simulation, then maybe we get to choose in the real world if we want to continue the saved game or something like that, or just start a new playthrough. It's a fascinating thought. Case file number 20, written by user YouNamedMeeDog, describes an encounter with an older gentleman who clearly was interested in her romantically. She then met him again as his younger self. 4.5 years ago, I had a job selling cookies and fudge to tourists in my city. Occasionally, someone would come into the shop drunk to flirt with me, but not very often, as I was this awkward 20-year-old with bad acne and a terrible sense of humor. One memorable evening, a much older gentleman entered. I offered him a small sample of fudge as was required. He looked like he could have been in his mid-50s with the energy of a 30-year-old. He had a thin frame, thick white hair, a narrow face, and piercing eyes. It felt like he was hitting on me, and it was very confusing. He was older, flamboyant, and he wanted me to show him around. He asked me when I would get off work that night. I had neither the social skills nor the confidence to tell him to F off. I agreed to meet him after work and wondered if I was actually going to show him around town, if that meant something more than my innocent mind was willing to believe. Feeling kind of frightened and helpless, I told my male coworker what had just happened. He told me he would walk me to my car after work, so that I could tell the white-haired man never mind and leave easily. I didn't expect the white-haired man to be waiting for me outside several hours later, but he was. My coworker walked me out of the building, and as we hurried past, I looked at him and said, "Sorry, can't. I just can't." The man bowed his head low and nodded as if he fully understood. He seemed deeply disappointed. Fast forward a year later, I'm working at a new job in the same area. I had been working there for about a month when a new face entered the scene. They hired a young man with a thin frame, thick dark hair, a narrow face, and piercing eyes. This young man was flirtatious, intense, and just my type. He was fun and flamboyant, and we almost dated, but I had to put the brakes on it for personal reasons. I was deeply upset about it for a long time. He used to talk to me a lot, and he was the first person who had ever liked me back. I know logically that these are two different people, one older guy looking to have a good time, and one young man who I miss a lot. Sometimes I choose to believe in the time traveler's story, because if it could be true, it means that he misses me too. Case notes, file number 20. So do we exist in multiple timelines at the same time? Like past save points, but concurrently playing out. But anyways, traveling back in time is much harder, and if it is possible, you shouldn't be connecting with your own timeline. It should actually be a new timeline, or not a new one, just a separate one, similar to crossing over actually, but without the catalyst of death we're talking about. If we did invent a time machine, that should be how it works. This prevents all those nasty paradoxes. Somehow this older man crossed over, maybe through a time machine, maybe just by happenstance, and then maybe your future lover was aware of his past self falling into heavy emotions with you. I dare not say love. Unlikely the future version was consciously aware of having met you in the current past future. Boy, timelines aren't simple, are they? So in a nutshell, I think if he was a time traveler, quote unquote, however you want to describe it, I don't think he was consciously aware of you, of having connected with you before. And maybe he didn't in his originating timeline, but you two are just really meant for each other, in a sense, just not at the right time for him. Of course, it very well may be simply a lookalike and just a coincidence, but it is fun to consider the possibilities that reach beyond linear time. And that concludes our case files for the night. If you enjoyed the stories and my narration of them, then consider leaving a like and also subscribing. I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. EST, with more case files all the time. I'll see you there.